Hey guys, good morning and welcome back to the Casual Word and Casual Word Radio, where we continue our endeavor to change the world one word at a time. I'm your host, Langley, and thank you all for joining us this morning. It's early on this Monday, but we want to get your week started off right. And what better way to do that than to have a wonderful conversation with one of my friends, one of my brothers. You've seen him on here once before. I was blessed to be able to travel to Roanoke, Virginia, and sit down with him in person. And he's got a lot going on, some new projects, the family man, great man of God, great husband, great role model, musician, artist. I mean, you name it, this guy can do it. And it's always a pleasure to sit down and pick his brain and us have a positive and uplifting and enriching conversation as we talk about how we apply Christ and we talk about how we are able to bring him into the midst of our everyday lives, even in a practical sense. So guys, welcome back to the show, Mr. Rich Milz, my man. How are you? And thank you for being here.
What's good, man? Thank you so much. You too kind. You too kind, man. You got to kill those superlatives, man.
Hey man, that's what we're here to do, man. Love, lift, and liberate. And then you're doing absolutely great things, man. You know, I follow you closely and try to keep up with everything that you're doing. I've been seeing the TikToks, man. You over there putting out those bars.
Yeah, man. Just trying to really point to the new material that's getting ready to come out, man. Got a lot of stuff I've been sitting on. So I got to get it out, right? Need that outlet.
That's it, man. You know, we talk about this often. Chesko and I talk about it along with other creatives, especially, is that, you know, these gifts aren't ours to just hold on to. You know, we're blessed with them. And just like anytime you see in the Bible, you know, if we're going to bury them like the man with the talents, you know, then we're going to lose them. And that's a hard reality people don't want to talk about is, you know, when you are blessed with a gift and you're blessed with something that you're passionate about and a creative mind and you can give back, then you have an obligation. You know, it's our responsibility to take that talent and utilize it to give God the glory and to help other people.
Absolutely, man. 110%. That's where I've been, man. Most definitely don't want to squander the gift. Even in the midst of busyness, when it seems like you can't really complete things, there's too much going on, your task load is overwhelming. It's like God always makes a way, he always carves out a path for you to do exactly what it is he called you to do.
Absolutely, yeah. His provision is always completely accurate, and it's always exactly what we need when we need it. You know, and speaking of which, let's just go ahead and ask the question: how are you balancing your work, your family, your devotional time? You know, I had an interview with Noah Witt, and he talked about how one thing that really changed his walk was a dedicated amount of time, whatever that looks like. But that's time for devotion. That's time for him and God. And I know that you and I have spoken offline, and you're like, "Hey, man, I'll have to get you later. This is my prayer time, or this is my, you know." So how do you balance all those things with the 24 hours that we have in a day?
It's really priorities, man. For me, I gotta consider what's most important to complete in a 7 day. I try to go from a 7 day perspective, from a 7 day lens. And I ask myself, like you said, 24 hours, man, how I'm gonna delegate this? I mean, not delegate, but how am I gonna best use this time that I have? Between my wife, between my kids, between me working personally, between me investing in my business with the music. The balance is hard and it changes often, man. It's not a one size fits all every week. Some weeks I gotta, I might have to wear the marketing hat. Some weeks I might have to really wear the husband hat or the family hat because my family's sick, Some weeks I'm more invested in what my kids got going on because they really need me more involved in a particular activity or whatever the case may be. And I hardly get any time in the studio, any time to write, any time to work. So the balance, man, for me, it shifts often. And yeah, like I said, it's not really a one size fits all. I prioritize what I feel like is most important. It's the best I know how. And I move from that standpoint. But God is always the center, man. I'm up between 5 and 6 every morning to get in my word. If I don't, I won't get in my word.
That's it, man. And you make a great point. And I do want to pause and let everybody know that this is a perfect example of us creating a routine without being rigid. You know, my mother has always had a saying my entire life that I can recall: this blessed are the flexible because they are bent but never broken. And you become broken when you are rigid, right? If you think about anything, wood, steel, anything that has the potential to break is when it becomes inflexible, right? And so we as people, this is again a great example, is that you may have a routine, but it may shift, and you can't be so rigid and inflexible with and not having the fluidity to be able to move with that and adapt. We talk about, you know, I love, again, I'm gonna say this again, I love this analogy, reading the defense and calling an audible, right? I mean, you've got to be able to look at what you, like you said, what's most important right now, what's going on this week that needs my attention, and then make the adjustment. You know, I think that you and I both agree that one of the things that are non-negotiables is your devotional time, is your word time. You said that you know, outside of everyday life, you know, there is that time with God to get yourself together, because you don't know what the enemy's going to throw at you.
It's always something, bro. It's always something. And it's funny you asked that question, because, you know, balance and priority is something that I'm really still trying to figure out. You know, it's one of those things that as I go, I get better at. As I put my hands to it, I get better at. And it's a discipline. You got to be committed and devoted to it. It's hard to sit down every week. It's tedious to think about everything you got going on, you know what I'm saying? And try to put that into a calendar schedule for the week, and then execute it. It's a discipline, man, to do that. It's a discipline. And sometimes you want to kick the bucket, you know, but I'm learning that goals don't get accomplished that way. So anyway, yeah, man, priorities, man, gotta prioritize. I prioritize my relationship with God first and foremost. Then it comes to my family, and outside of work, whatever extra time I got, man, I'm grinding on this music, man.
And that's huge, man. It's like you said, the discipline is paramount, right? You've got to be able to set those goals, and not only set them, but put action behind them, right?
Absolutely.
You know, a goal that's unrealized is just a dream. So, you know, we've got to be able to move in a meticulous fashion toward whatever goal that we're setting for ourselves. Now with balance, let's talk about rest, because, you know, you and I, among several people that I talked to and connected with, you know, like everybody's like, man, y'all, how do y'all do it? You know, when do you sleep? And then we laugh like, oh, I don't sleep. And there was a time when I didn't, but, you know, my body suffered, my mind suffered, relationships suffered, all that suffered because of lack of rest. So, you know, how do you fit rested? How do you determine when, you know what, it's okay to not do something, or it's okay to just relax? You know, I'm trying to find that balance like you. And there are days when I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to watch TV. I'm just going to watch cartoons. I'm just going to lay around, you know, and really just enjoy the time to breathe. I mean, how do you do that without feeling guilty?
Yeah, I mean, I generally, I'm a workaholic, man, so it's extremely hard for me to detach from the work. But I do believe in the importance of rest. You know, it's scriptural. You know, we need to rest, like you just said, man. If we don't rest, things start coming apart, and it manifests differently in all of us. You know, it may come out in anxiety, it may come out in depression, it may come out in whatever. I just, you know, we have family day once a week, me and my family. And I unplug, man. I leave my phone on do not disturb. I'm not on Facebook once a week. I'm not on social media. I'm not on Instagram. One day out of the week, I unplug from all of it. I don't work on my music. I don't work on anything related to things that require a whole lot of mental or brain power. You know, I try to give my brain a break. I try to rest. I try to lay back, might chill with the kids, chill with the wife, do a family activity, make some memories with the family. My balance and the rest is what the Lord prescribed, man. I try to stick to that. You know, that one day out of the week where I say, this is where I'm gonna Sabbath today. You know, I'm gonna breathe today. I'm gonna step away from all of the phone calls, all of the, you know, friends, relationships. People call me on my Sabbath day, man, on my rest day, bro. You might get the voicemail, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's no disrespect, you know, or nothing like that. But like they saying, everybody's saying it right now, you can't be good to other people if you can't be good to yourself, and you got to recharge, man. It's necessary to recharge. And I've learned that I'm more of an ambivert. I'm a little bit of an introvert, a little bit of an extrovert. Um, so I need my time to myself to just breathe, even away from my wife and my kids, man. I just need time,
Yeah.
away from myself, away from the music, away from it all. I need time. So yeah, I'm trying to stick to the prescription of the Lord with, 1 day a week, step away from all of this stuff, and know that God got everything under control. You don't have to be so busy and so um so gung ho to try to get everything done, at the expense of your own personal rest.
Yeah, and that's huge, man. And it's great that you brought that up because I just started writing a new book, and it's it is.
Another one, bro.
You already know. I mean, so I just finished this one. It's out, right? And while I was writing 40 Days, I'm also writing a baby daddy book that you and I talked about challenging men to be better, right? And so then, like Wednesday of this past week, I wake up. This is the whole 3 o'clock in the morning that y'all see me up doing stuff. I woke up and I just had this entire concept about work. And the title of the book, I'll go ahead and give you guys a teaser. The title of the book is called F Work. Okay. And so obviously it's to get your attention, but you can feel that with anything: faith, fulfilled, failing, flexible, whatever F you want to use. But the point is that when you look at that title, whatever F comes to your mind is in direct relationship to how you feel about what you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so with that, to your point, we have got to retrain our minds about how we perceive the importance of work, right? Because in our Western culture, especially in developed worlds, we are under the auspices that we have to work until our fingertips are gone, right? And we've got to kill ourselves every single day. You're not going to be anything, and that is just not the case. And that's an antiquated way to look at work. And so this book is meant to address that exact issue with scripture as well as with practical application. My experiences, other people's experiences, as I'll do the research. But the idea is that if you are forsaking everything else in your life for work, then are you actually fulfilling your life, your calling, and ultimately are you doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because if you're doing what you're called, then there should be time for family, there should be time for self, there should be time for rest, right? And so we have to really start looking at the actuality in our current era, in our current time, and look at like, well, what is work really? So it's great that you bring that up, because that's something I struggled with for a long time, with the work-life balance. And I say in my baby daddy book that in the attempt to show my kids the value of hard work, I forgot to have them around to see it.
That's really good, man. That's really good.
And that's a reality of one of the things that I would tout as being a regret, is that I worked in that mindset that I've got to do everything all the time, and I was missing out on time with my kids that I can't get back. We have a great relationship, but I still feel bad because I could have changed that, and I could have been more present, and I could have been more involved, but I chose work over some of their, formative years when they were really developing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to piggyback off of that, man, like here recently, about, I don't know, maybe it was a month or so ago, everybody got sick. My in-laws got COVID, my mom broke her arm, my sister's work schedule changed, my wife got sick, my kids were sick. Somehow I managed to be the only one that didn't get sick. So a lot of the responsibility of, just making sure everything was straight fell on my shoulders. And that went on for about 6 weeks, man. And by the end of that 6 week, like I didn't really have time to really do a whole lot of personal rest for myself. I didn't have a lot of time to spend with my family. I was just in go mode, trying to keep everybody else good. And at the end of that 6 weeks, man, there was just this emotional explosion. I was pissed off with everybody, bro. I was short, I was mad, I was smoking, I was cussing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like short. Because I had given so much and it started coming out in me in ways to where I was starting to notice people and what they were doing more. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves is to focus on me. And I started noticing what other people was and wasn't doing, and how it was affecting, what I had done and things like that. And I got upset with my family, man. We ended up having this big, huge explosion, saying big old argument, screaming, crying, cussing, what I'm saying? And when I look back on it in retrospect, it's all because, I felt like at the time, I had to give everything because everybody was out. And the whole time I had my mom saying, hey, I can help you with this. I can help you with that. I know my arm ain't right, but I can help out with this. And I was like, oh, mom, I got it. I'm trying to balance everything for everybody. And that's not how God calls us to live, man, in community. Where everybody puts their hand to the plow and do something, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was kind of crystallized a little more for me going through that experience with everybody being sick and feeling like I had to take on everything. So yeah, man, with that rest is important, bro. It's pivotal. It's pivotal. It's important.
Absolutely. And that's something else that we could talk about is the need for community. Again, I talk a lot about Western cultures, obviously because we live in one, and because it's starkly different in our modus operandi versus a lot of Eastern cultures who practice community, right? We live in a world here where it is all about me. And you see, and you and I both live this, and I talk a lot about the role of being a pastor or being a leader in ministry, and realizing that, we allow as leaders, and then the flock projects this idea that it does fall all on your shoulders. And it's not, we're not called to do that. It was never designed for one person to have to carry the burden for everyone, as well as whatever they're dealing with personally. And it's just why you see the suicide rate so high. That's why you see, this whole thing that we talk about with pastors' kids and stuff, is because, right, there's a neglect for everything but the work. And so, you see that those things occur when you get out of balance and misaligned, is that, you start having the issues internally because you're empty, and you're still trying to give. And like you were saying, your mom was there, but you wanted to take on the burden, and God was like, hey, I've got help for you. And you were like, nah, I got it. And he's like, no, you don't have it. Yeah. Here's why you don't have it.
That's the tempting thing too, bro, because it's like, as a man, it's like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got the answer as a man, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't know, bro. Like I stay in the house with 7 other women, you know what I'm saying? Like it's me, my wife, my mom, my sisters, my niece, and my daughters. I got 3 daughters. I got a niece. I got a sister. I'm surrounded with women. So when things hit the fan, it's like, I got it. Let me take care of it. You know what I'm saying? It's especially when I feel like people are, not in tip-top shape, not in the best health, not in the best condition to be doing things, and maybe I feel like they're doing it because they feel like they owe me something, or something along those lines. I'm kind of like, no, just leave it alone. But like I said, that time taught me, man, that though it's tempting to want to take on everything, that's not what we're built for. That's not the best use of our energies and time.
No, absolutely. And that's why when the word talks about how a man leaves his family to cleave to his wife, it's because that's part of the support system, in a very practical sense. And that's why having a teammate, I call it a teammate instead of a helpmate, because you guys should be standing side by side, right, and working together. And it's imperative. We talk about like a woman being the backbone, and I was just thinking about that as you were talking about your experience, that when your back is bowed by the weight of the world, when you have a strong woman with you, whether it's your wife, your mother, whoever that person is, in terms of that collective energy, if she's the backbone, well, then she can help straighten you up and carry the load.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a great thing to bring up because, we do live in um, this world where, right, it's very much the man's role to do everything, right? And let's just go ahead and delve a little bit further. You know, as Black men, right? It's exponentially more expected from
Yeah,
us to be tough and to have to be able to do everything and not to ask for help and not to have to, have this community of people around. And that's one thing I'm adamant about changing is that stereotype, especially
yeah,
for us, because we feel like, because of the things that are happening and have happened in this world that we know is fact, ladies and gentlemen. We know that there's prejudice, we know there's racism, we know there's glass ceilings, we know these things are happening. Okay, so let's just not get into that debate. But because of those things, we have been placed behind the curve, right, in terms of our ability to mature emotionally and to understand that we do need help and that we do need each other. So it's important that we have these moments of clarity because we as a demographic of people,
Mhm.
a demographic of Black men, always feel like the onus is always on us.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming and to add on to what you're saying too, man, like I come from a broken family, you know what I'm saying? So um, when I see um the men that I've descended from, some of the things that they've done, and know that I'm trying to hopefully by the grace of God break some generational curses, um, and hopefully leave a legacy of faithfulness and hard work and all of that stuff for me personally ties right into me feeling like I got to make sure it's done. You know what I'm saying? Adding everything you just said, I mean, did I say taking everything you just said and adding on to that, just people's upbringings and what they've been through, what they've seen, what they've witnessed, um, that can compound the issue, bro.
Yeah, bad. And it's hard because we are in fact a collection of our experiences, right? It is nurture, it is nature, it is situation, it is circumstance, right? And all that builds a mental picture in your mind, right? And then with that picture, as your lens begins to adjust, whether it's becoming clear or
Mm,
more foggy, you begin to react to whatever it is that your perception looks like.
absolutely.
And that's tough, man. But man, hats off to your growth. We're always growing. This is a journey, not a
Yeah,
destination. But it's always encouraging for me to be able to sit with someone, especially a man, and even more so a Black man who can admit, man, you know what? Yeah, I was stumbling here, I was struggling there, I messed up here, because we don't like to admit failure, we don't like to admit, and it's not defeat, but we don't like to admit being diverted, is what we'll
yeah,
call that. You
yeah.
know,
Lessons, baby, lessons.
that's it. It's all about lessons and it's all about growth, and realizing that, we all, where the word says, we've all fallen short, right? And we're going to continue to do so while we're here on this earth. And so you have to look at it with the lens of, where can I get better?
Yeah,
So how do you deal with the guilt factor as we're talking about lessons? Guilt makes you
the
look
guilt
back.
factor. Okay.
Yeah, the guilt factor, because guilt makes you look back, conviction makes you look forward, but it's
Yeah,
definitely a very fine line between how you perceive those, and really what direction you decide to take that in, because it's the same emotional realization, but it's the direction that you go which determines whether or not it's guilt or conviction.
yeah. I mean, for me, I've really tried to stay rooted in the fact that Jesus died for my sins, bro. Um, he died for all of them. The ones I'm gonna commit today, the ones I committed yesterday. You know what I'm saying? The ones I don't realize I'm committing right now.
Right.
You know, I try my hardest to stay rooted there because there's this. I think there's this human there's this tendency to think that you are above things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
oh, I
okay.
won't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't follow that. That wouldn't be me. Like I wouldn't do this thing. Um, and then you do that thing, and you're disappointed in yourself, or you're paralyzed with your decision and the outcome of what you've done. And I've seen that multiple times with many people, man. And that's pride, really, man. That's really pride. And I've come to a place, or I'm getting to a place, should I say, to where I'm realizing, man, that bro, I'm just as screwed up as the next man, and I'm not above anything, and I'm not beneath anything. I'm subject to fall to whatever this man is subject to falling to, given the perfect scenario, given the perfect storm. I'm subject, man. I could fall just like anybody else. And I'm starting to understand that on a deeper level. And that allows me to lean more into that blood of Jesus, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it allows me to lean more on it. Like, thank you, Jesus, for dying for this, bro. Because, you know what I'm saying? I'm an effed up individual.
Look, we all are, man, and everyone is different, right? We all, man's perversion of scripture has created this idea that there are orders of magnitude to sin, right?
Yeah.
And so, one thing is worse than the other, or not as bad, whatever you want to call it. And the reality is that we all sin. We just sin differently.
Yeah.
And that's and that's one thing that I had to come to grips with. Is not only could I fall to the same thing somebody else did, but who am I to look at somebody else's issues when I know I have my own?
Yeah, throwing a stone, hold a mirror.
Man, I mean, and how humbling is that experience? Like I for me, it was one of those moments where I was like, oh man, I'm trash. Like, oh my God, what have I been doing with my life? You know what I mean?
It's a realization of what God says about you. It's always been the reality. You know what I'm saying? You may not have realized that reality. I may not have realized that reality, but the reality is we've always been that person. And then hopefully it generates a humility within us. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, bro, I can't do this on my own. I can't walk this thing out on my own. Hopefully it generates a humility. But that's where I was, bro. Like, I quit my job back at the end of 2020. Well, I had my daughter, had Jordan. She's a year old now. And as soon as she was born, I quit my job, and I set out to do this music thing, man. And that was rough for me when I set out to do it, because I think for the first time in my life, I was in a position to where I wasn't dependent on a job to bring in money for me. I wasn't I wasn't leaning on that anymore. I said, I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm gonna make my own money, you know what I'm saying? And with that came, for me personally, when I realized what I had done, and how conditioned I had been to, I need a job to survive, when I realized and I stepped into this new place, that came with a lot of overwhelming feelings of anxiety, bro. I dealt with suicidal thoughts and all kinds of stuff. Like, do I have enough to do this? Can I take this on? Is this, am I enough for this? This there's a lot involved in what I do, as I'm sure you know what I'm saying? And God, I lost it. What were we talking about?
I was just tuning in. Are you talking about when you stepped away from the idea of needing a job?
I'm gonna get it back. I brought all that up. I brought all of that up just to highlight. I think I was trying to get at how difficult, or how easy it is. Man, what was we just talking about?
Just
Come on,
the humility of the realization.
My God, yeah. So, when I quit my job after my daughter had been born, and I'm coming out of this place of these overwhelming anxious thoughts, suicidal thoughts, depression, coming out of all of that. Right at that time, we had, I don't know, maybe we were a quarter of a way through the pandemic at that time. And I'm throwing stones at everybody, bro. I'm talking trash about this man, that man. I'm knocking everybody. This politician, but I'm knocking everybody, and I'm the one with all of the right answers, man. And I came to a place. I went on vacation, man. A few months after I quit my job, I went on vacation. And I determined when I went on vacation, all I'm doing is I'm gonna be in my word. I'm gonna spend time with the Lord is what I'm gonna do while I'm on vacation, man. It's gone for a week, and when I came back, I was a different man. It was like God had showed me, like, it's like that passage in scripture where I think it was, was it Isaiah? Oh my God, I'm a man of unclean lips. Like who am I? It was kind of like that. It was a realization of, bro, you really not like you try to put yourself out there to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially before the glory of the King, bro. Like, who are you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who are you? Your identity is in Him, but you coming around like, like you acting until you're better than. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the one that gets to determine who's doing right, who's doing wrong.
Right.
And it
Right.
was so humbling for me, man. It was so humbling for me.
And that's big because, because of our humanity, we we have a tendency to want to look down upon people, right?
Absolutely.
And we have this tendency, and we've been groomed to have this caste society where we have this innate need to feel above someone else, right?
Absolutely.
But what's unique about it,
sinful nature. Go ahead.
man, yeah, no, well, and that's it. And what's unique about it is that because of our humanity, we need to realize that we are all human.
Yeah.
And that we are all on this same journey. Everybody's at different levels, but we're all still walking. And I had to have a tough conversation with a good friend of mine that was both revelatory for me and him. And it was that particular conversation, which is, when you come out of something and you have elevated to a new level, right? And you're around people who aren't at your level, you have to remember, this goes back to, knowing where God brought you from and knowing who you are, in terms of God's kingdom, that, you can't get frustrated at someone who's not where you are, because at one point you were them.
Absolutely. And that it took me 31 years to learn that, bro. And now I'm exercising it. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in the stage of exercising that truth. You know what I'm saying? And that alone brings its own bumps and bruises along the way. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'm telling you, because we're so quick to get frustrated. Like, why can't you just get it? I don't understand. Like, why? Come on, man. And it's like, you look back on the actual circumstances, and if you look back on the actual amount of time it took you to get wherever you are, how dare you, be so arrogant to think that, you because you've now arrived at a new place, that this person is going to hurry up and catch you.
Absolutely. We make ourselves the standard. We make our standard, not knowing that the standard is so much higher than us.
Right. Man, I'm telling you, man, that is truth right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never heard it, that is it, guys. We can have a standard for ourselves. That standard should still be rooted in the word, but we need to be careful about the type of standard that we have on other people, or that we expect. We shouldn't have expectation. We should just be observant, and we should move accordingly, in all honesty. But the nature of humanity is to expect something, right? And so when you look at what you expect from people, be cognizant of where that comes from. Because that's a slippery slope.
Yep, that's good. That's really good.
So let's go ahead and segue talking about expectation. Let's talk about properly placed expectation, which is in God and on yourself, right? Yeah. So you're doing some new work, right? Some new music. So let's talk about what the expectation you have on yourself, and what you've had on yourself in terms of this latest project. What was the main motivation for this collection of music that you're working on right now?
Man, it's funny. The project that I'm getting ready to release was actually a project I was asked to be a part of. It wasn't something I had set out personally to do. It was something that I was asked to be a part of, and I'm really, I'm grateful that I was able to be a part of it. So for the expectations for this specific project right here, it's more so just trying to get myself out there, like get myself out there through this project. As far as I go, all I can do is prepare and plan and hopefully influence. The rest of it is in God's hand. Whatever God gonna do with it, whatever he decides to do with my grind is on him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but this particular project is, kind of like I don't know, just like kind of like the calm before the storm, so to
Yeah.
speak. Like this project is coming. It's a combination. It's a combo project with a friend of mine, Jamie Robinson. He might be watching this. Like I said, it's heavily his project, but I was featured on it. I'm featured on every song on the project. But this will segue into the release of this new music that I also been sitting on. So when you say expectation, like I'm still trying to balance that because, with expectation, there's only so much I can do, right? And there's so many other things I need to be giving my attention to as well. So I from an expectation standpoint, I think I've learned to, back to priorities, I think I've learned to prioritize what's important first. Prioritize what's important, my relationship with God, my family, and whatever time is left after work, and I'm not talking about music because I do have a job, ladies and gentlemen. It's necessary to still have a job. I quit my job, but I DoorDash. I grow up, I do the other side things. I love investing, so I have other things that I do to make the money come. But aside from all of those things, then I got time to work on what I believe God is putting me to do. I try not to overwhelm myself with my own personal expectations. But on the same token, like I still try not to let that be an excuse to not have expectations of myself.
Sure. Sure.
And I try to move accordingly. I know God is watching, and everything I do is an offering to him. It's my work to him. It's the point to him. It's to glorify him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be lax in that with the time that I do have left. So anyway, the new project is coming very soon. I'm actually going to be making an announcement about it today.
Nice. Okay.
The lead single is going to be coming out. The lead single's coming out this week, man. This Friday, the lead single's coming out. So really excited about it. Really excited for everybody to hear it, man.
I'm excited, man. You're ultra talented, and I enjoy your music thoroughly. And the TikTok videos have been fantastic. You already got some bangers on there that I plan to be playing. And it's just it's beautiful to watch you work, man. It genuinely is. And so with expectation, and we'll start to wrap up a little bit here. Expectation breeds disappointment. So
expectation breeds disappointment.
Yeah. So how do you deal with disappointment?
I acknowledge my humanity, bro. Like, I acknowledge my limitations, man. I understand the fact that I can't be here, there. I can't be everywhere at once. I understand the fact that there will be things that I set out to do that I don't accomplish for whatever reason. Maybe I was too tired. Maybe this thing came up. Maybe I was weighed down with this thing. I acknowledge my humanity. Excuse me. I acknowledge my humanity, and I believe that in the acknowledgement of my humanity, I believe God's sovereign over all of that. I believe he's working through all of that, you know what I'm saying, to bring about what it is that he's trying to do, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. Because it may be something that I'm kind of going off to the left a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and God's trying to get me to veer over a little more, So I told my wife this last night. I was talking to my wife, man, when you get overwhelmed, when you feel like what's going on, man, ask the question, God, where are you at? What are you doing? Where am I at in relation to what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Am I running that line with you? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like just because something's hard or difficult or overwhelming doesn't mean it's not where God wants you. You know what I'm saying?
Right, man.
That's huge.
And two, the thing about disappointment as we're talking is that a lot of times the disappointment is because we have misplaced expectations, and so when you are looking at it through the lens of your humanity, and leaving the inherent divinity out of the equation, which is the Holy Spirit in us, it's easy to be disappointed. But like you said, a lot of times that the disappointment is bred from part of something not happening that we wanted for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so we have to be mindful that in a lot of cases, you're disappointed because you were getting out of alignment. Right. And man, that's heavy. Okay, Holy Spirit.
That's heavy.
That's heavy, right? I'm gonna have to sit on that one.
That's heavy, bro.
Man, yeah. So
that's good, man. That's good. That's right on, because especially for us as believers, man. That's what it is, man. If we call ourselves believers, if we are guided and directed, by the Holy Spirit to do His bidding, if we're our tool and the instrument of God's hands, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm just the bee spreading pollen on the flowers, bro. I'm just the spoon stirring the rice in the pot, bro. Like, who am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I? I'm just the spoon stirring the rice. I'm gonna scoop this rice and I'm gonna go back in the drawer when my owner done using me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, who am I?
That's it, man. That's it. And I think if we can genuinely grasp that concept, we can realize that, and I talked about worry in one of my videos last week. I talked about, not to be worrying, but to be willing. And I think that brings us
really good video, bro. Really good video.
Thank you. And it's about this, what we're talking about, right? If it's not for you, then there's no reason to be worried about it. Hence, if it's not for you, there's no reason to be disappointed because it wasn't for you, right?
Absolutely.
And if we're aligning with His will, then the disappointment that we're accustomed to experiencing should fade away, because we recognize that when things don't work, then they weren't part of the plan.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree 110%, man. And that's generally how I deal with disappointment, man. I don't believe nothing happens in my life by happenstance. I don't believe things are coincidences. I believe everything that goes down in my life is being woven together, and it's painting a big picture at the end of it all. You know what I'm saying? I can't see it right now, but it's painting a big picture at the end of it all. And everything that I do now with the work, with the music, everything that I don't do, every mistake I make, every intentional error I make is all going to lend itself toward, you know what I'm saying, this big painting that God is, working on in my life, man. So yeah, man, that's me, man. I acknowledge my humanity and I acknowledge the sovereignty of God. That's how I deal with disappointment, bro.
That's epic, man. That's the outlook we should all have. That's the outlook that we should be striving to attain. And we won't always get it right. Our humanity and our emotions, we have them, and we're supposed to use them, process them, right, go through them, and that's part of the equation as well. So we won't always have. I don't want anybody to get this the misconception that, like, when things go bad, we're like, oh no, it's perfectly fine. No, we're gonna fire off. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna slam some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna cuss a little bit and stomp around, throw a temper tantrum. Like, I mean, that's the reality, because that's also who God made us. But it's not to dwell in that. And I think that's the dangerous part, is if you dwell in that disappointment, then you create your own prison, and you create this paralysis where you can't move forward. And I think that's what God is ultimately trying to work out in us is, yeah, you're going to mess up. Yeah, things are going to happen that you didn't expect. Yeah, things are going to happen that you didn't like or didn't want to have happen. But this is, like you said, it's all part of a picture that we can't see because we aren't sovereign. We are stitches, we are thread, we are needles, right? We are part of that tapestry that God is putting together. And we have to remember that, all things work together for the good of them who love Him and are called according to His purpose. But nowhere does it ever say things are going to be good. And of course I didn't coin that, but I live by that. I have to remember that is certainly, it's all working together. Absolutely. But it's going to suck sometimes.
If it don't suck, it ain't. If something ain't right, if it don't suck, bro. If it ain't hard, you ain't doing something right. I'm sorry. That's my motto. If it's uncomfortable, bro, you probably need to be pushing toward it.
Yeah, dude, change can only happen in a place of discomfort only. So, I mean, that's what this book's about. The wilderness is about that place of discomfort, and about embracing that, because that's where your evolution comes. That's where your growth comes. That's where that change in your mentality comes. And the only way to get from where you are to where you want to be is to go through the wilderness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So man, it has been an absolute pleasure as always, man. We've got to do this more often. Definitely want to celebrate your upcoming single and this new music project. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can catch the music.
Really Rich Milz. You catch me at TikTok, catch me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm everywhere. The new music will be coming out. The new single Turn dropping October 15th, this Friday, man. So
so that's my jam, man.
October 15th, man. October 15th, the new music is coming out. You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Really Rich Milz, man.
Dude, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just say, guys, if you did not see that TikTok with Turn, I'm gonna need you to go check that out. Like I probably watched that about 85 times, man. That thing is so much flame. It is a masterpiece, man, in my opinion. As a fellow musician and songwriter, like that is just, it's perfect in terms of the message, the delivery, the musicianship. Now it's everything that I would want to have in Christian hip hop, with some serious heat behind it, that you can really thump in your vehicle or whatever, guys. You can work out to this. Like that's a hit, man. That's a hit. And I'm not just saying that because I scrutinize musicians, and like, and not because I'm better, but because I love music, and I was raised in a musical family. I classically trained, went to college with music. And so, for me, like, as a writer, as a musician, as a songwriter, as a composer, like, I always like to analyze to see where I can get better, to see what people are doing different, and to see what makes music enjoyable for people, And so I just say all that to say that, man, this is that's quality, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it, because everything you put out so far, I was like, oh, okay, so hats off, man. And for those of you who have not heard his earlier stuff, one thing I do want to talk about, and the point of this video, along with talking about your music, is your evolution, right? You can see the growth in his personal life and in his walk and in his understanding of himself as it comes out in his music. So if you listen to his older stuff and you listen to what's coming out now, you will definitely see a progression as a human being through his music. So that's what it really comes down to, and that's the most inspirational part of what your music is, man. It's those who follow this man and have heard prior works. When you hear this, you're going to really be encouraged by the development, not only as an artist, but as a person.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. The growth is everything. And you coming out, and you're gonna have to give me that pre-order too, bro. I messaged you. I don't know if you got the message, but I did message you on the pre-order. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm gonna go back and check, man. It's still up. I'm gonna disable the link at 8 o'clock tonight, but I got you.
Send me the link. Send me the link. I don't do hardback books, bro. I'm an audio book, but I'm gonna order your book.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And I need to go back, because I know that audiobooks are a thing. I listen to books as much as I read them. So I'm going to work on getting a lot of my poetry and some different things transitioned to audio, so that can be an extra offering as well. So thanks for keeping my feet to the fire, for making sure I get some things accomplished that are on my task list. So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thanks again for being here. It's always a joy to have you on, and to be connected with you, man. This is definitely a kingdom connection, and I definitely value your friendship as much as everything that you bring to society, and watching you be a family man, because as someone who's striving to have a righteous marriage at some point, and to build a family around the principles that God has laid out for us, it's always good and encouraging to see a young man doing that already. So again, man, I thank you for everything that you do for the kingdom and everything that you do for society.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate it, man. I really do. Thank you so much.
So guys, like, share, subscribe if you feel so inclined. go ahead and do the pay subscription for the podcast. Of course, the money goes toward equipment. It goes toward the travel for me to bring guests here or get two guests in person, because I enjoy sitting down with people physically as well. So don't think that anything that you guys are donating to is going to go and be misappropriated, guys. This is all for the betterment of the kingdom, be able to give back, to give you guys more quality content. You can, if you need anything, please reach out to me at thecasualword@gmail.com for anything. If you have prayer requests, if you have ideas for guests or want to be a guest yourself, please let me know. And we will catch you guys the next time around. As always, let's change the way that we think so we can change the way that we live. Until next time, stay blessed.